Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another roundtable for the Certified Commercial Property Inspectors Association. It is 7 o'clock, or at least 7 o'clock Mountain Time. I'm not sure what time it is where you're at, but we should get started and welcome everybody that's here. Thank you for getting up this morning. I just got back a day or two ago from another wonderful class in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. We had a pretty full room and a lot of new and eager commercial inspectors who are about to hit the world. So it's an exciting time to be part of this association, that's for sure. And so I want to open it up to anything anybody wants to talk about this morning.
Hey, just real quick, Rob, the conference is still going as scheduled. I know they rescheduled that for the February timeframe. Is everything still lined up for that?
Unless Milton's got a little sister that wants to be a party pooper. Yeah, in fact, the latest things I saw were our attendance is actually greater for February than it was in October. So we didn't have a single speaker or a single exhibitor drop out either. So it poses to be a very, very exciting time.
Good deal. Thanks, Rob.
And to speak of the conference, it's not too late. If you've got something you're passionate about, if you've got an idea that you're passionate about, and whether you want to present it or you want to have it presented as part of next October's conference, please let us know, especially anything else that's going on. We've had a few members reach out and say that they want to present, and so that's really, really, really exciting. But please, if you're thinking about presenting, there's a little quick portal that you can fill out, and we'll certainly take it and run with it. Before we got too far along, Brad's here on the call, and he was mentioning that you're about to launch your commercial division first of the year, Brad.
Yes. So yeah, as a kind of a brief introduction, I had mentioned to the small group earlier that I'm not yet a member of the association. I've been following Rob and the group now for about 6 months. I've been doing home inspections for over 10 years. I got into the business, the commercial side of the business, a little bit different from kind of the conventional career path from residential to commercial. I had been doing home inspections for a number of years, and by chance was then contacted by one of the national engineering firms to engage as a subcontractor in the role of a field observer for property condition assessments. And at that time, I had never really heard the term property condition assessment or phase one environmental. And so it was all kind of new, but it was very much of interest to me. And so that's kind of how I got my feet wet. I worked as a subcontractor, I mentioned, for about I guess it was 3 to 4 different companies over the years. And basically, for someone that maybe not familiar with that, they will then receive an engagement from usually lending institution. And these are big projects, over 100,000 square feet, usually big shopping centers, apartment projects, big office buildings. And I would then be contracted to go out and basically do a commercial inspection, but do it then in their format, upload the Word document that they provided as a template along with the photos, and basically then I would be done and I'd never meet the client. They had underwrite it, and I would then make usually $500 as a subcontractor. And I did that for a number of years, but it was a lot of work, to be honest with you, for the $500, and usually real crunch timeframes. And I kind of then figured that I could do what they were doing at a Main Street market level, under 100,000 square feet, and make more money, add more value, have more information that's really of interest for the small business person, as opposed to a lending institution that had a lot of fluff, and do it at a quicker turnaround. And so that's what I started doing about 7 years ago. And over the years then I've done now about 400 commercial inspections, and they range from retail, office buildings, to warehouse, industrial. And I then kind of at that time adopted, it was before the CCPI, the ASTM standard. So this is kind of then a little bit of my quandary, but I really felt a little shameful, and I don't want to get into the weeds and cannibalize everybody's time as I finish up here. So I kind of stuck with the ASTM, but what I'm doing really isn't ASTM property condition assessment. For one, I'm using Home Gauges software that has a different format. It's more exception based, and I have financial information, the cost to cure, but I have it as a comment and not in a financial table. And so I'm kind of slowly moving towards Rob's standards, your standards of practice. And as part of that, then this year, I'm pretty excited. As of January 1st, I'll have then everything separate, most everything. As it turns out, it's a big job to try and have experience for the commercial customer that doesn't somewhere along the way have something mentioning home in it. And that's kind of my goal. And I'll be about 99% there January 1st. So that's a little about me. Sorry to take probably more time, but that's what's going on.
It's terrific, Brad. I mean, I think it's important to keep reiterating that story. You know, everybody's got an origin story. Everybody's got a way that they've transitioned either all of their business, part of their business, made a division, started a new company. There's just so many different ways that you can enter into commercial inspections. It's just good to constantly remind each other that that rising tides going to lift all boats. And I want to go back to the ASTM is really not a complete standard as much as it's a way to write a report. And it's a methodology for producing an output within some guidelines of safety, where the ComSop is a true standards of practice. And so that's really you know, where I came on board and why I adopted it a half a decade or more ago, is I saw that, and I was able to take the current business that I had of residential inspections, and we were doing 6,000-7,000 residential inspections a year, and transfer that into how can I make a superior product for the commercial client. And that's where the ComSop really is geared towards. And so I think it's great, and welcome, Brad. And I know, are you running your business? Are you starting a new business, or are you going to run an ancillary or division off of your existing business?
Yeah, so great question. I chose real early on, for reasons right or wrong, to stay organized as a legal entity, as a sole proprietor.
Mm-hmm.
And there are advantages and disadvantages. So one of the advantages is that it actually makes it pretty easy to create a DBA name. So I'm Brad McLeese, doing business as Home Guard Inspections, and I'm Brad McLeese, doing business as Utah Commercial Inspections.
That's terrific. And as long as the bank will cash your checks, then everything's good.
That's right, the bank and the credit card processor. And so I do actually, as it turns out, then have two accounts through how I'm processing the credit cards and that. And it kind of ultimately ends up though in one account. But there's a lot of moving parts as you try and start to parse that name out and not have it combined together.
Sure, sure. Not to mention having to have two different shirts you got to wear.
That's right. Yeah, we're working through that too. You got it.
Welcome, Lance. You had your hand up.
I did. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I've got a headset. So he made a point about I'm actually driving to a commercial job right now, so I'll be looking at the screen. He made a point about ASTM, and then you followed up, Rob, with the ASTM being more of a reporting standard, loosely, if that. I get a lot of questions from new inspectors, and they are trying to figure out what is the difference between an inspection, a building inspection, or a PCA, or this, or whatever. I teach the cost of cure class, and I speak on it just briefly, but Rob probably hones in on it a lot during his introductory class, and that is an inspection is an inspection, and it all falls down to what your client wants. You're going to get into the nomenclature of what PCA is and ASTM because that's the verbiage that people have used over the years. But at the end of the day, 90% of what is in a true ASTM 2018-15E report isn't what your client probably wants, to be honest. It's very simplistic in how you approach. And I think CCPI has done a fine job of creating a reporting outline, and we're continuing to work on that as well. And every time I talk to a new inspector and we work through their template, they'll be surprised how much fat they cut out of that template because their client doesn't really need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we just finished a class in PA, and that was one of the conversations we were having when it came to reporting. Is the beautiful thing about the ComSop and the commercial inspection process, and it's truly a process, is it all begins really early on with the research of the property and then the interview with the client. Every inspection is a la carte. And so you have this ability to hone in on exactly what your client needs and then give it to them, whether they want a sundae with sprinkles, nuts, and whipped cream, or whether they just want ice cream in a bowl. You're gonna have that ability to tailor all of your product to their needs. Where in especially in residential, in a state which has regulation, you cannot. You're really self predefined to giving something that they need or maybe didn't need. So you're absolutely right. These are a lot more fun too. Anybody else have something they want to add or want to bring up to the group?
I think I'm live if you can hear me.
Yes.
Cost to cure. I'm just getting to the point of getting all of the reporting from the Spectora report done, and they had the cost to cure module. I haven't been able to investigate what it actually curtails. Is there something that I'm supposed to be getting from construction people and stuff around here? Or is there something that I latch into that will give me the information I need to put into that module?
So I'll let Lance answer that, but before we go on, so in section 7 of the ComSop, cost to cure is listed as a not required element of an inspection. So there are clients that will ask for ideas on cost to cure, and there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of philosophy on where you get those numbers. whether you get those numbers from contractors, from experience, from search engines, from books, all of those are avenues for cost. But there are clients that want it, need it, and will pay for it. Lance, I'll let you because you're kind of you kind of spearhead a lot of the cost to cure stuff. I'll let you kind of touch on that because I'm not familiar with what Spectora is providing right now.
Yeah. And I'll be brief in it too. So with what I believe you're talking about, Spectora on, if you want to call it the recommendation section, has a way for you to click and add a cost essentially of anything that you want to add to each of the commentary. That is simply just another section they added to it. It really didn't add anything to the reporting. I have talked to Spectora. I have talked to Scribeware. I have talked to Spectre Toolbelt. I have talked to all these individuals, and a lot of them are starting to catch up now with what commercial needs, but none of them yet have a true cost to cure piece. Meaning being able to say, for example, have a list of recommendations, and then that recommendation have a number associated with it that you put on there, and then that aggregates into a report itself. So it's one of those things where with Spectora right now, it's not really doing that. I think it's just giving you a section to put your numbers in. I use Spectora right now for commercial, but like I said earlier, I have stripped my report down so much. I'm not even using the limitation or recommendation section on Spectora. I'm just using information as I've created my report. And it's been so much easier and cleaner to put my report together. Now, as far as aggregating the numbers, like Rob said, a cost to cure or an opinion of cost report is not required throughout the CCPAA. If you ever have anyone come to you and say, I need a true ASTM PCA, if they're actually requesting that, then the PCA has to have an opinion of cost table. That's a part of their standard of reporting. Most times clients don't know what that is. Every now and then you'll have an old hat or an old broker that wants a PCA because their engineer they used to use asked for PCA. So it's good at least to understand what that means. But to get your numbers, it's really up to you guys how you get your numbers. So for example, I have been doing this since 2018. I have quite a few inspections under my belt, close to 1,000 now. And I work in 4 states. So it's taken me a while to build relationships with clients in other states like roofers and construction members, and I get data from them, but also use systems like RS Means or Marshall and Swift has another system. You can get the old Sears construction book or whatever that might be. And these aren't hard numbers, right? We're not project managers. So we are not putting together finite numbers and details for them. If they want that, I will be a project manager and I will go out and I will find a roofer and someone to do the parking lot or whatever, but I'm going to charge a lot more for that, obviously, for my time. But normally we're just wanting to give them a sense of what something might cost to repair or replace and say whether it be immediately or projected out over a certain amount of years. I don't want people to get in the weeds and think, oh man, what a liability it's going to be to put these numbers together, because you're not taking on that much liability when you're saying, listen, I'm going to try to give you this 50,000 foot overview look of what you should be possibly getting ready for in this building, but this is going to change. So on today only is what I can provide. And if you don't have a disclaimer, even in your report, not cost to cure, but just your report, that is not saying, on this day, this is when I did the inspection. Literally past this moment of submitting the report, something could have happened with the building that I never found. So obviously protecting yourself there, but no, you don't really have to be getting numbers specifically from any one place. It's just dependent upon how you want to provide that product.
Okay, yeah, because I've not been a candidate of wanting to do the cost to cure. Because you can talk to 2 concrete workers and depending on who they are, it could go from $1,000 and be $4,000, depending on how hungry the person is and how much they think that they can get out of the person. So I normally send them 1 or 2 things if they are looking for concrete work. People that I've ran through during all this, I'll give them 2 people's names and I'll say you have to contact them. That's about as far as I would go with cost to curing. So thank you.
Most people do that, and I'll end on this. When we teach our cost to cure class, we teach you to create a variance for the numbers. So let's say, for example, if I'm going to replace a door, if I get on some national website like RS Means, it's going to say that that door is going to cost $1,000 to replace. But Chuck in a truck might replace that door for 800, but a pristine, installation construction company may charge 15. So I try to create a 5 to 10% variance on either side of a number that I think it'll work. And we tell people that in the report. So people aren't expecting exact numbers for that very reason. You made a good point.
Now there's a huge business advantage when and marketing advantage if you're using the line item idea of cost to cure versus the table cost to cure. Now, what I mean by that is Spectora and a few other software providers have that opportunity for you to put a dollar value, almost like a punctuation at the end of a sentence. And you're never aggregating all of the numbers together. Because if you're, let's say, for instance, if your client asks you for a true cost to cure report, that would mean you're going to aggregate all the numbers of all of the issues of all of the things that you found through the entire building. And there's going to be a large number at the bottom right corner. And that number could be from the hundreds of dollars to the millions of dollars based on the building. But if you, as the entrepreneur running the business, is looking for a marketing advantage against a fellow inspector that might be in your marketplace that doesn't do any type of cost to cure, you could very easily have just a number placed on the right column of that line. The sealants on the tilt up precast concrete panels are all open, recommend sealing, then put a number, $15,444. Well, what's nice about that is you're never adding everything up. You're just giving them an idea, because your client might look at your report and have 30 things of issue, but there only might be 5 of them that are giving them any type of aggravation. And so they're not looking at that huge number. They're going to look at the 5 other numbers to come up with their quote unquote wish list. So it gives you an opportunity to have a marketing advantage. One thing I do want to say is if you're adding those types of services, don't be afraid to look at that as far as how you're pricing your inspections, because it's extra work. And if you're looking for that market advantage, then you might want to use that as a separator of why you cost X and they cost Y. Tony, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on that. I think it really just depends on what your client needs, and that's part of the initial assessment of what they need. Because I had a client, for example, that needed numbers specifically because they were looking at, he had inherited this 86,000 square foot business warehouse building, and they were looking to get rid of it and move somewhere else. So in that case, they needed just rough numbers. They weren't looking to actually do any of the work. So they didn't care if the number was precise. They want to have an idea because the appraiser was coming and there was other family members involved, and they want to have an idea of how much money needed to be spent on the building and adjust the appraisal value. So knowing that, they opted for Repair Pricer commercial, and it was good enough. And we didn't have to actually sit and give them fairly decent close numbers. We just gave them, some rough roundabout numbers, and they were perfectly okay with that because that knocked off $500,000 off of the building.
Yep. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, and there's clauses available on our website. There are two of them that we discuss that strictly help codify what our scope is. I mean, when I do cost of care, if I'm within 20%, I'm tickled pink. I'm not a contractor. And so there's no way you can use whatever cost of care I'm going to develop as a spec or or a true contractor's cost. Did that help you with cost of cure a little bit on that, James?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I was for years the safety gentleman guy that was in a factory. So when I go through plants and buildings, I most pinpointed in everything that is a safety matter. So on cost to cure, it's like, well, it's drywall. How, what can I do? So I just point them to people who can do that kind of work.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be nice to do because I know the price of drywall. So if a piece of drywall is broken, I tell them, well, it's about $25 to get it fixed. Cost of the material and whatever the people charge is up to like $100, depending on what's getting done. So I don't, unlike the home inspections where you weren't here in Ohio, you weren't allowed to say, well, yeah, here's a guy that will fix it for you, because that would get you into trouble. So, but yeah, everything was fantastic. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, I'd like to add one thing, because what you are saying is another service that you can offer. That's the beauty of commercial. And I think that's what people have a hard time understanding when they come from residential, because residential is so painstakingly gray, isn't it? It's the same thing every single day, rinse and repeat. It might be a different house, but it's the same thing. With commercial, I can make money. Right now, I'm making money anywhere from 8 to 15 different ways on different projects and different clients. And one of the projects that I offer, you'll see on my website, is we do a maintenance program. And during that maintenance program, I actually will find all the issues with the property. And then I will go out and I will call and find at least 3 contractors, like you're saying, for each of these areas. And I will get definitive numbers for them and help them build out what that would look like. Now you go, well, why that would be my responsibility? Well, most people buying a building know how to do the thing that makes them money. Most of them don't know how to rent a building. And most of them aren't going to hire a maintenance person annually to take care of everything. So that is an extra thing that you can add for a client and charge them handsomely for. I just did a 100-year-old building. We did a maintenance plan for them on a 10-year just projection, and worked through all this stuff, all the way down to who's going to do their fire suppression inspection annually. Give them several different bids. I acted as the GC, and it was an extra $3,000, and it took me maybe 5 hours to do the whole thing, because I already had a template together and I already knew the people I wanted to plug into it. So if you're thinking, oh, that would be something I used to do, I don't want to do it, stop and think, can I make money doing it, and figure out how to monetize it, and you'll be surprised how easily you can do that in commercial.
Thanks, Lance. Does anybody else have anything that they want to bring up? Any questions or comments to the group?
So, Rob, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Van.
Hey, yeah, welcome everybody. Sorry, I can't get my camera to work, but I gotta face that radio with love. So, anyways, I was at the Pennsylvania class. Absolutely loved it, Rob. And I tell people, if you haven't done it, do it. It was amazing. I love the fact of all the mentoring options that CCPIA has to offer. I've been talking to Lance, and I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon, Lance. So I appreciate you. Things that I'm running across, which is amazing. The industry really is just so new, and if we get in now, sharpen our teeth, do your websites, like I heard the one gentleman making his own division for his DBA for his company, and that's actually what I'm doing as well. Know who's in your market. I went to the website last night to see how many other inspectors were within 25 miles of me. We all know, for people that came from residential, for me, within 25 miles of me, I have 70 residential home inspectors. For me, with commercial, there's 5. Within 10 miles of me, I'm the only one. So when I was in a networking meeting this morning. I'm like, hey, how many people know how many commercial inspectors with the only association in the country are within 10 miles of us? And everybody's looking around. I'm like, yeah, that would only be me. So you got everybody that does it right at your fingertips. So know your data to help yourself grow the business. But I can't thank you guys enough and how much this is going to benefit everybody. Rob, you, Lance, for talking to me. And these are things that we don't really get a lot with residential. So I appreciate you guys.
You're very welcome, Van. You're very welcome. So now this is our last call for the year. I mean, not that it makes a difference because a year's, at most of our age, birthdays come too quick. For some reason, the earth revolves a lot faster once you get past 10 years old. But I know going into January, this is the time of year when I ran my business. I was doing my mystery shopping. I was getting ready for the spring market. Are you guys doing that? Who's gone out so far and done that mystery shopping, getting ready for the spring market? If not, are you going to? Gerald, you got your hand up. Maybe you took your hand down. So I mean it's key. It's really, really important to know where you're at in your marketplace, especially if I hear stories. I'm losing work. I put in 5 proposals and didn't win a single one. It's important that you know where you're at in your marketplace so that you can first be competitive and then be successful. I use the old line, I get on every plane looking around to see who I'm going to eat first. It's one of those things that you really need to have a strong grip on. When Van said he's the only inspector listed in 10 miles, I mean, who could dispute that? That's absolutely true. But then there's going to be some home inspector that focuses on home inspections that dabbles in commercial just enough to be a nuisance. And you need to have all of that competitive edge available to you so that you can be successful and win that work. And so that's really key.
So I got something to say. I put my hand up, but you said Gerald, so I was looking to see who Gerald was.
Yeah, well, I think Gerald was answering the question on who's done marketing analysis and just raised his hand. But go ahead, James.
So I have tagged the CCPIA image on everything that I use for promotions, and I've been in right now. I'm in 2 chamber committees, and it's a whole lot different up here in Ohio. There, like the other gentleman said, there are so many home inspectors. That's the reason why I phased out of home inspections, because it was like there was in my area, there was just under 20 within a 10-15 mile radius. So when you go down a street and you saw one house for sale and everybody's fighting on the stairs to get into place, realtors that I know of are all saying I get a dozen or more invites every day from home inspectors wanting us to give them some work. So other than a couple big corporations, there's no one in the area that's doing commercial in this area. So that's kind of interesting. But the ones that are doing it now, they're ones out of Michigan, and the other one, I think it's California or Arizona, and they're doing their advertisings here. So it's kind of interesting. But I'm going to follow his lead, and I'm going to turn around and throw that in my next gathering at one of the meetings.
Yeah, I was in Chicago, and when you think of 7.5 million people in our metro area, when I'd show up to certain meetings that I would show up to, I was the only commercial inspector in the room. There'd be 350 multi-million dollar producing realtors, and I was it. And so I always found that to be curious. It was certainly a competitive advantage to myself, but I always found that curious that the numbers were so skewed. But I think it's to our advantage. If you sit in one of our intro classes, we talk about how we're 50 years behind as an industry to residential. And so being 50 years behind, we've got a lot of communication that we need to do outward to the referral sources to let them know who we are and what we do. And I guess the big advantage to that is our competition isn't as deep a pool. Maybe it's a 1 to 30 or 1 to 40 rule than it is a one-on-one rule where you're going up against so many other residential inspectors. So there's a lot of advantage to building your business in that type of marketplace.
Hey, Rob, just real quick to throw something out there. I apologize. I just come from the dentist, so I can't, if I stumble a little bit, my mouth's still kind of numb on the right-hand side there. Hey, Lance mentioned something about a maintenance program that he offers, and that's something that I looked at his website and looked at it and think about something I could offer. Is that something you guys could look at maybe putting a class together on, or is that just kind of something that, you know, we kind of take out on our own, doing ourselves? Or
We haven't got that on our agenda, but that doesn't mean I can't scribble something down and put some thought process to it. I mean, there's so many traditional ways to make revenue off of the commercial mindset. Everything we do is a la carte, basically. Between the normal inspection to homeowners inspection, homeowners association inspections, to one-off project inspections, to maintenance inspections. We just did a balcony course for Florida. We're working on a balcony course for California. So there's so many different ways. I'll put a scribble of that. I know Lance has had some conversation with myself and our executive director, Maggie, about maintenance inspections as well. So Billy, you never know what could come up.
sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
No problem. No problem. We got a quiet group this morning.
Well, I got a question for you, Rob. I'm interested to know, are the majority of the people here who are doing commercial, are you just doing a commercial inspection during the due diligence process? Or are you finding that you're getting different clients, meaning, just a building owner who reached out to you who wants someone to look at their building for maintenance, or a bank or insurance or whatever that might be? I'm interested to know what type of clients everyone's pulling in right now.
Right now, I'm doing insurance. That's my biggest one, has been the insurance inspections. I got one coming up for a VFW. Just depends on what I think. It's a commercial kitchen on the inside of it they want me to take a look at. So that's been my biggest thing right now on the commercial side, has been the insurance.
Mm-hmm. Tony, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I have to say the same thing right now. Insurance inspections are blowing up our phone, everything from residential to commercial, multifamily. I've actually had to create a page on my website and create a whole template for just insurance inspections. And so I'm marketing the hell out of it for 2025. I think what a lot of inspectors miss out on is the potential for income in different things, and being able to pivot really quickly and adapt and capitalize. And I'll give you an example. You guys are putting together a balcony course right now for California, and California in 2024, I made more money on balcony inspections than I did on home inspections and commercial put together. That's how crazy it got. And it slowed down a little bit because they put an extension on the deadline. But that only means that I get to squeeze this lemon for another 12 months.
Yeah.
And yeah, so insurance inspections, balcony inspections, at least here in California. And and it's like Lance said, it's a matter of getting creative and figuring out what your client needs and adapting to it and offering it. And there are a dozen different ways that you can make money off of the same inspection.
Yeah, exactly. And every time your phone rings, it's ringing for one purpose. Somebody's attempting to give you money, and you got to choose.
Exactly.
You got to choose how you want to take it, and and what do you want to do to receive it. I know Garrett had put in the chat that he's had a combination of all of it as well. And I know, Garrett, you run a nice multi-inspector firm. How are you getting your work? Is it mostly from clients calling, or are you getting everybody else, banks and everybody else as well?
It's coming, it's a mix of everything coming in. It's not the banks, it's insurance agents are calling us, clients are calling us, realtors are calling us, property managers are calling us. It you just got to market to everybody.
Yeah. So when insurance agents call, what are they calling for specifically?
Well, California has been pretty tough on insurance, just like Florida, but they're looking for an excuse to drop that building off their policy. But we have to go, it's basically a 4-point inspection: plumbing, heating, roof, and electrical. And then we upsell them on doing the 721 or the balcony inspections as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then this next year we're working on going back through our list of inspections that we've done and analyze who needs what and start marketing to those clients as well.
Okay. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Brian, you have your hand up, buddy.
Yeah, I was wondering if anybody had, what have they been doing to market to get these insurance inspections? Because right now I've just got it on my website, so I'm getting a lot of people getting me through Google. But or if they've been tracking insurance companies, I've noticed like State Farm, Travelers, they're the ones that I've noticed in my area who are looking for these type of inspections.
Insurance agents.
So do you just call them up or just go to their office, drop your card off, take them to coffee? What do you?
All of the above. And I'm a big fan of email marketing. And so I am compiling a list, or I'm having my assistant compile a list of all the insurance agents in a 10-mile radius. And we're hitting them with advertising, and we're posting stuff on a regular basis now for insurance, as well as balcony inspections. And we just did 3 of them yesterday. I've got 1 of them lined up today. And it's an up and coming, at least here in California, like Garrett said, because the some insurance companies like Allstate want to get out of the state, so they're looking for any reason to cancel policies. And then the rest of them, in order for them to renew, they're requiring inspections now. And it's a very basic 4-point inspection. So so in answer to your question, for me, it's been very successful to target insurance agents. And there's tons of them. They're like realtors, they're everywhere.
Yeah. It's interesting because 25, 30 years ago, when I used to train new inspectors, I had a slide that said insurance agents are a marketing opportunity. And because they don't know buildings, they just sell insurance. And then it changed for about 15 years. So it sounds like it's moved backwards. Either there's neglected properties that are a carrier's nightmare, or it's an opportunity for that insurance company to put a caveat on a policy and make it so that they don't have to pay a claim if a circumstance happens. So this is great knowledge. It's something that probably deserving a little bit more attention on our side as well.
I can definitively say that State Farm right now is requiring any building older than 30 years old have an inspection on it. If it is a new renewal policy or they're doing a brand new policy, a lot of people are going to State Farm right now because it's actually cheaper, but they're requiring these inspections. They call them a comprehensive inspection. I have air quotes going, I don't know if you can see that or not, comprehensive. But as he said, if it's a 4-point or whatever, it's just a very simplistic overview of what they need. And those are so easy to do. And so if you've got a State Farm agent in town, call them and ask them if they're doing commercial and tell them how you can help.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know Garrett just posted they're incentivized to keep them on the policy. Well, absolutely. Cause that's having a family member that was in the insurance business. That's how they make their money is residuals on policies. It's amazing how much they make as the writer of that policy. So I know they want to keep them, but then their carriers who they've got to underwrite that building have to make sure that it's not a complete loss or a mess. And so I think that's very good. And it's something that probably is worth your time to build a template in whatever software you have that covers those 4 points of elements, or just even use your normal software with those emissions. But you want to build a product, in my opinion, that you can walk into that insurance office with and say, see, here's a report. This is what I can provide you. And then this is data. Anybody else have something? I think insurance is great. Please. Harry, you're muted, buddy.
There was a question on the chat about the, when we do these 4-point insurance inspections, do you charge by the hour or do you charge by the size of the job?
That's the beauty of it. It's whatever you want to do. You get to be the entrepreneur on that. If you're going to charge by the hour, you better make sure that you're safe and you're fair to yourself. And if you're going to charge by the job, make sure that you have those circumstances for the size of the building encompassed on it. Because you can charge by the job and it's a small trailer building, or you can charge by the job and it's the size of an Amazon warehouse.
Yeah, the beauty of it right now is that this is such a new market that nobody knows what they're charging. And everybody's going to charge something different. So you want to be, if in your market, if you set yourself up as the insurance inspector, you let everybody else follow you.
Yeah.
As far as pricing, you set the pricing to whatever works for you, that's profitable for you, and you let everybody else follow. I had, when we started doing balcony inspections a year ago, I had other inspectors call me, and I Googled somebody's phone number one time, and it happened to be one of the biggest engineering contractors out here in Southern California. And they were calling me to see how much they were mystery shopping to see how much I was charging for balcony inspections. And I looked up their number, and then I reached back to the girl and I said, "Hi, hey, how's business going?" And she fessed up where she said, basically nobody knows what they're charging right now, so we're trying to figure out what we're going to charge.
Yep. That's why I always tell everybody, buy a burner phone if you're going to do mystery shopping.
Yeah.
I always know when you say mystery shop on these calls, because then I get an influx of like 15 to 20 new people fill out my proposal form online. So thanks for that, Rob.
Oh yeah. That's that, or if I knew you were pay-per-clicking, Lance, I'm going to be over there hitting the button, refreshing your screen. I'm going to make sure you're going to not have as good a holiday as you could.
I'll find your IP address. Don't worry. I'll find you.
The key is, and I think when I talk to my friends in Florida, they're talking about how stale, I don't want to say slow, but it's slow, the residential marketplace is. And I heard there was somewhere around 50% of the inspectors did not renew their inspector's license last year. And I think the key to any business is diversification. If you only make widgets and widgets start slowing down, then you're going to have trouble. And I think of all sectors of the inspection business, I think commercial offers the most diversification and the most opportunity to take care of the ebbs and the flows through other forms of revenue, be it balcony inspections, be it insurance inspections, be it sewer scope, be it cost to cure, maintenance, or the traditional inspection, because businesses will still be thriving and businesses will still need to grow and go into new businesses and new buildings. So having that opportunity to be flexible and say, yes, I can do that is really key to bridging any hiccups that might be present in the marketplace. Anything else coming up? We've got a lot of things. This is we just finished, as I say, PA. Now next year we've got a very aggressive schedule. We're teaching every other week somewhere in the country all the way through June. I apologize to all my friends in Southern California. The rescheduling of the InterNACHI convention for February has put a hiccup in our Escondido class, but that has been rescheduled. Unfortunately, it's been rescheduled for spring of 2025 versus 2024. But if as we're moving forward, you want to come to one of our classes, you're welcome to come anywhere. There's some great ones on the books. We're going to be in Florida, Southern Florida, Western Florida in Tampa. In January, we'll be in Phoenix. We're going to be in Houston, Raleigh. So there's a lot of wonderful locations coming up in the next 3 or 4 months. So if you're looking for some hands-on practical education, you're welcome to certainly come. Yeah, even if you need to sharpen your spear because you've come before, there's certainly great opportunities for you. But before I take off, I know that there's still a couple of registrations left, not many, for the roundtable in February. And that's going to be live, that Lance will be facilitating in Florida. We've got a few really exciting building your businesses scheduled for the next couple 3 months. So I'm really proud to bring those to you. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Did anybody win anything big yesterday in the Christmas party? No.
No, I
was
just got
kind
some
of
CCPIA swag.
Did you? Good. I mean, I was kind of voyeuring into the to the InterNACHI forum, and there was some pretty serious prizes being given away, and so I'm like, shucks, I wish I was able to participate. I'd have liked a few new things.
So before we go, because you're logging out here very shortly, ancillary services.
Yes, sir.
I have a license for a drone, and I've been broadcasting that information out to the cities and one on the North Coast here in Ohio. During storms, they're going to be using me to help the city evaluate all of the storm damages and stuff like that. So it came out to be a pretty good thing for that. And I have another city that's been talking to their director. And so I'm pretty well much covering in Cleveland area, most of the west side of the Cleveland area after storms.
That's terrific. We think, think outside the box on some of that. I had a member reach out to me. I think it was July or August. And the question was, he was approached by a building owner who just had his windows repaired on a, yeah, okay. Yeah, it was Harry. Yeah, how'd that project turn out?
Well, I submitted the numbers, the 12-story office building. And I'm not hanging from the side of a building to inspect windows, okay? Not gonna do it. The 12-story office building, we contacted a drone company out of Virginia. And yeah, the price was a little more than even I thought it was gonna be. Because I was thinking $15,000 to $20,000. Well, it came back as $27,900 for the drone inspection, for pictures. They were gonna panorama the whole thing. Every window was gonna be inspected, and there were like 576 windows. So I've submitted the number, and the lawyer is still trying to get the business owner to go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you think about it, each window's got 4 corners. And so James, if you're a good drone operator, you need to, and you got almost 600 windows and you're flying all 4 corners, there's a lot of opportunity to create an ancillary business on these buildings for water infiltration. And going to these mid-rise and high-rise buildings, you are cheaper not only in life and limb of somebody not going over the side of the building in a bosun's chair or a window washing station, and being able to quickly assess the condition of those windows rather than going in the inside of the building and doing moisture tests and looking at all the inside corners. You're not only cheaper for life and limb, but you'd be faster. So for everybody with your drone license and is a good, competent drone operator, I think there's a lot of opportunity going to the building management, and you can find out who those people are and offering this service, especially, like I say, in bridging work. I know San Francisco just had a little bit of a rumble, coming in and flying drones on some of these buildings looking for cracks and looking for things could be of great benefit. Just thinking outside the box on how to make money in this business. I just could never fly a drone, but if you could, I think there's a great opportunity to parlay that into a really good business.
Yeah, that part of it's turning out to be pretty good. I just flew a church 2 weeks ago where the parapet's starting to bow out over top of the roof.
Yeah.
So I flew up there, did a quick flyby. They turned around and saw the pictures, and they put into the board for the amount of work that would be needed for that. And it showed all of the tuck pointing that was missing on that wall. So they were very happy with that. And that when it's done, I get paid really well once the board says, okay, fine. And I'm waiting for the money.
Yeah, I think building a website around, and and the keywords and all of that SEO is because that's all they're going to do. They're going to find you with the internet search. And I think properly positioning yourself is really, really key, because they might not even be thinking about let's get a drone up there and inspect it. They might be thinking about, we just need to get window inspections, masonry inspections, all these other things. So good on you.
Hey,
Oh,
real quick.
you guys supplied me with that video drone over top of those buildings. And that's on the very opening page of my
Yep.
websites. So that's very impressive, and I've gotten a lot of information from people on that.
Terrific. Terrific. Anybody have anything else this morning? Please, Billy, you're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I got it. I figured that out. What type of drone was he using?
Okay, I'm unmuted. I have the DJ Air 3. So it's got an altitude of 8,000 feet. I don't think I'll ever have to fly 8,000 feet up. I did go up to the highest point that I'm allowed to with the drone, which is 400 feet, and realized that a gray drone against the sky didn't cut it. So now it's canary yellow. And I am trying to get with all of the antennas here in Cleveland, Ohio, about going up and doing inspections on their antennas also as commercial work. So I'm working through that point too, but I've had 3 or 4 people come back and tell me that that's something that they'd be interested in. So
Brilliant. Brilliant.
yeah, I could be.
Yeah, you don't want to buy one, Billy, from Temu because it'd only be this big.
Yeah, this one could be 6 to 10 feet away from a chimney or a brick wall. Take a picture of a whole picture window, and you can zoom into the point where you can see the divots in the stone. So the camera on this is very fantastic. That's
terrific. That's terrific because when I was talking to Harry about his project, having the drone operator was only part X. Y was you got to watch all the video and do all that forensics. Z was go out to the property and look at, the ones that give you skepticism. So, I mean, it was, for looking at almost 600 windows, it's quite an involved process. And so it's really, but it's a valuable process because of the money that you're either going to save somebody or save a life. And so that's really, really important. All right, guys. Well, with that, thank you. Look forward to seeing as many of you in February as I can. Have a wonderful holiday. If you're taking off the rest of the month and doing nothing but enjoying life, then you're a luckier person than I. If not, stay safe and follow the ComSop because that's the way to go.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you,
Bye,
Rob.
everybody.
Hi, everybody. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Rob.